went to as many away games as I could, and I was very fortunate and very blessed to be able to have the opportunity to let my voice be heard inside the locker room because I used to do motivational speaking before games. And I think that it was a big deal for my confidence. Growing up, I was always taught to speak my mind and be my own person. And I think that came a lot from me being encouraged by my family and my older brother. He was a great example. He was a great friend and one of the best people you're ever going to be. Fortunate enough to know his attitude and his smile just completely lit up a room, and you kind of wanted to be around him. It was kind of like one of those magnetic personalities. But surprisingly, Danny wasn't always like that. Yeah, he really didn't come out of his shell until senior year when he found rugby. And the sport of rugby actually changed his attitude towards coming out and being more open to people, showing, what kind of person he was, because he really blossomed into the guy he was high school senior year into his college days at St. A's. So going back to me, sometimes I get carried away and talking about my brother because he is such a big part of who I am. He's such a big part of my heart and the reason why I do this. And I know I've talked to Dave so many times about how much it means to me that, he's around, that he's close to where I am, because it's nice to have somebody to try to fill that void. And just another little side note, the reason why we both agreed to call this podcast The Two Anchors was because we all have people in our lives that, keep us grounded and keep us positive. And for me,
keep us going.
Dan was one of those people. So that's the reason why we have Two Anchors podcast. But I digress. Back to the story. So when I was in high school, the 4 years, 06 to 2010, they had a bus that had wheelchair tie-downs, and I was able to go to the majority of the away games, and I was a motivational speaker before the games. And it was important because not only the team, but the coaching staff gave me the time to say what I needed to say. And they understood, that I wasn't just a fan, that I actually brought something to the table and that I had value. And that was very reassuring to me, that there was people out there that really saw my purpose. And we talked about this last time too. What you can't do doesn't always matter 100% because you compensate in other ways. So what I couldn't do physically, to be a part of the team on the court, I made up for through my passion and through my words. And words only go so far, but I know that it made an impact in some way. So I was a part of the basketball team from 06 to 2010, and then I carried it on to my college days at Stonehill. And before I tell that story, I wanted to give Dave a chance to jump in here.
Well, first of all, because Jamie's done it with his, when I've talked about the baseball team in my college days, those would have been the years between 2007 and 2012. And, also I tried to motivate some of my teammates, and a lot of my teammates knew that I was so passionate towards whatever sport it was that I was helping out with. It could have been baseball, football, and I do believe that some of my friends on those teams played better just in the fact that they saw a person like me, who was so passionate about the sport that they knew that I wanted to feel part of the team. They knew I couldn't, hit a home run for them, strike off the side, throw in 60-yard touchdown, run for a 60-yard touchdown. But they knew that I was always there cheering for them and pumping them up and doing the best I could. Getting off of sports for a second, and I'm going to talk about actually, the first time I met Jamie. And like we've said, we met at Canton Mass Hospital School, but it was nice to meet Jamie because I grew up with kids with disabilities in my town, but no one that was like communicative, that could communicate the way I can, and I couldn't really sit down and talk my difficulties out with them, but with Jamie, I see what he can go through and see how far he's come. It just helped me to realize that, oh, this is nice. There is a person I can talk to that is just like me, and we have some of the same, challenges. We've had different situations pop in some positive, some negative, in our lives that, some that are different. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to have the common bond and too, like, I know that from the moment I met Dave, I was comfortable giving him a hard time.
Likewise.
There was no like awkwardness, being like, what do I say, or am I being mean if I say this? But having the opportunity to meet him at physical therapy, like we were talking about, being a part of a team. I know that physical therapy isn't really a competitive situation, but I want the best for him. I want him to be in the best situation that he possibly can. So
and also the same for you.
Anything that I could do to motivate him, even if that is through sarcastic comments when he's trying to use his walker to run down the hallway to chase me. I mean...
Yeah, I remember some of those days. Some of those days I wasn't breathing either.
Yeah, you were kind of purple, but that's okay. You're here now.
That's good.
You're breathing.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying this conversation. I know that we are getting kind of towards the middle end, towards the time that we usually come on. But I would like to share the story that I was referring to earlier in the podcast. And at any time, Dave can jump in if he wants. But St. A's and Stonehill, where I went, and St. A's, where my brother went, they were athletic rivals in the same division, the Northeast 10. And so when I transferred from Dean into Stonehill, it was only fitting that we went to rival schools so that we would have something to yell at each other about when we came home on breaks. But I'm beyond proud of my brother for finding, his passion at St. A's with rugby, and I'm grateful to the community and to all his friends for embracing me and embracing our family. So that's a huge deal for us, and I can never thank you guys enough. But after his accident, it was it took like 3 weeks until I went back to school. And one of the major reasons why I went back to school was because of the beginning of the basketball season. And part of what helped me cope through that difficult time was the structure of the day. And what I mean by the structure of the day was how when you're a part of the basketball team, like, you do everything together, because you need to have lunch around basketball practice. You need to have dinner around workouts. So basically, you were on the same schedule with all the guys at the same time. So I mean, we never had fraternities at Stonehill, but being a part of the basketball team was basically the same thing. And I was more than grateful to have that group of guys for that moment in my life, because it pushed me through to the end of my senior year and helped me to graduate, because I needed that support. I needed that bond. And I would like to talk about one specific game. It was December 10th, 2013, the first away game after Dan's accident. And we went up to St. A's. The first time I had been back there since, and the school is not accessible, and that's not a knock on St. A's. It's just not. It's very old, and it's very unforgiving and not accommodating. And I'm sure Dave has ran into some scenarios like that.
I have.
And so I could not get down to the locker room because there's stairs. So I had to give my pregame talk on the bus. And it wasn't one of those situations where, we need to win this game for Jamie because he's gone through a lot and we know that it means so much to him. It was more of the fact that Jamie shows up to practice every day. Jamie competes with us every single day, and he shows up and he puts his heart into it just like we all do. It wasn't like, oh, we need to win this game to make Jamie happy. It wasn't like a sympathetic situation. It was like coming together to achieve something, to be a part of something, and it was about much more than just one person. It was about a whole collective group. It was about a whole team rallying around each other to do something that was meaningful to me and meaningful to the rest of the team. Because you know what? We were all brothers, and we were all out to do the same thing. And we didn't end up winning that game, but it was just the fact that everybody competed and everybody left it out on the court. And as somebody who was an assistant coach for that year and for that game, as somebody who knows basketball and knows what it's like to compete for something, if you lose a game, but you know that you left it all out on the court, and that you gave it everything you had, and that you have no regrets, and you competed you competed your butt off,